and welcome to SW6 Essential Riverside Update Part 2. Now, last time we spoke, we were in July, I think, at the Riverside, but I didn't really fancy standing in the cold on a November evening. I'm joined by FFC Joe Sansom. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, a lot has happened since we did the last one. The last time we spoke, we talked about the kits, potential transfers. We talked about players like Charlie Austin and Cabral. You mentioned Cavallero, which obviously did come to fruition. So that was a good shout. But we haven't spoken on camera since the season started, and a lot has happened. We've had 3 international breaks. We just lost 3-0 to Hull, but then made up for it with a 1-0 win over Birmingham. Talk to me about that Birmingham game. How do you think it went for us?
I think it was a really important game because obviously the whole result was just the absolute opposite of what we wanted. So that Birmingham game, when I was looking at it, and I think everyone was in agreement on Twitter and people I spoke to in person like yourself, was in agreement that it was a hard game and no one was feeling too confident about it. I didn't see many people predict us to win at all. Me saying a draw, I thought that was quite optimistic because it's a hard place to go to. And I think only Preston have won there since the start of the season other than us. So it was a great result for us. I think the fact that we were actually quite solid defensively after what happened against Hull was a really good sign. And it's a shame about Mitrovic getting booked, but other than that, it was pretty much perfect away day.
Yeah, it was good. It was slightly weird because we got there with good time. It was about 12 o'clock. We were in the pub, and then at 2 o'clock, as we usually do, we all go, right, let's get an Uber, and I'm always the one to book the Uber. And it cancelled on us when it was about 2 minutes away. Same happened again, and it started to get to about 10 to 3, and we were still in New Street, or near New Street, and we were like, well, we're not getting to the game on time, which is a bit of a shame. It happens sometimes. I don't remember the last time it happened. Anyway, we ended up getting to the game about 20 minutes past, and we weren't the only ones. Our friend Will had problems. Dom, I remember talking to, had problems. A lot of people did. So I kind of was very disconnected with the game once I got there. And at half time, me and Dom were talking, and we just said how boring the game was. And we managed to come away with a victory in slightly odd circumstances with Lee Camp's mistake. That's a big win. Obviously, Mitrovic getting the yellow card was hugely disappointing. And obviously, QPR on Friday, Bobby Reid's got to start up front.
Yeah, because I think that Kamara's obviously an option. I've seen some people also say even Cavallero just to put up there because he's got a very good eye for goal and very quick. But I think the problem we'll have is that all these players are very good options, but it's not how we've been playing. So it's interesting to see what they've done. At least it was over an international break when they've had time to work on it, especially considering Mitrovic is away. So, Bobby Reid, I think, is actually on international duty as well for Jamaica. But regardless, I mean, I think Bobby Reid should start, and it'll be interesting to see how we cope without Mitrovic. I think it is really important that we can cope without Mitrovic, because if something happens like an injury, then what do? We can't just be a one-man team. And I do think that even though he has been scoring all the goals for us, Bobby Reid has been playing well, and he does deserve a goal soon, and hopefully Friday's the day.
Yeah, well, he should have had more than one goal already, Bobby Reid. It's going to be interesting to see how we do perform without Mitrovic. By force, we cannot play him, and I'm guessing we're going to stick with that 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 formation. Hopefully, I don't know if Arta's back. We have to read the press conference in the next couple of days, but you'd expect that Harrison Reed would start. Kearney back from injury because he had a slight twinge against Birmingham, and then Cavallero and Knockaert on either side, although Knockaert not performing great at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I saw someone say actually on Twitter, and it was a very good point. I can't remember who said it. That all our signings so far this summer, in particular, have all kicked on in some parts, but probably Knockaert's the only exception. I think it'd be fair to say, because even Arta's obviously injured at the moment. We don't know when he's back, as we just said, but he was playing well when he was in the team. Obviously, he's got a very short fuse, which can be his slight downfall. But other than that, Harrison Reed's playing very well. Cavallero's, even though sometimes been a bit quiet, had his moments. I think maybe one other one I forgot was Onuma, but then he's been a bit of a bit part player so far. So out of the ones that have actually been playing for us consistently, Knockaert's one that we're yet to see push on. So hopefully, with Mitrovic not being there, maybe he can step up and be the main man.
Hopefully to see. Now let's talk about QPR. Due to uni work, I've been at Loftus Road a couple of times this season, which has been interesting. I am quite wary of them. You've got the likes of Elias Chair or Elias Chair. Easy. I think they're a better team than we're making out they were really quite up there at the beginning of the season. I remember them beating Stoke away from home on the opening day, and from there they've really kicked on. They've had a couple of poor results recently, and of course against Brentford in the derby. But I don't see how this is going to go.
I don't know how it's going to go. One player I'm quite worried about is Ream not being there, because there's a possibility that he might not play because he's on international duty with USA still. And I'm a bit worried about our defence against their front line, because I don't think they're an exceptional team, but I think they're very good going forward. So far this season they've proved that. Then they've not been great at the back, but then neither are we. So I think it'd be unfair to say that we should go out there and completely dominate them, because also it's a derby and they're going to be very up for the game, obviously. And yeah, like you said, when I've seen them this season, I mean, I haven't been blown away, but going forward, they're a very good side, I think, and Easy as well. He's had a fantastic season so far. Every time I hear about QPR playing, I just see that he's had another great performance. I think there was one against Hull away, where and one of them was a penalty that he won by just running the length of the pitch. So it'll be interesting to see if Ream does play, how tired he is. If he doesn't play, who comes in? I'd say O'Doy and shift Mawson over. I'm guessing Lamarchand might still be injured. But yeah, I mean, it's a game where I feel like if we're going to go up, we should be winning this game, regardless if it's derby and regardless of who we've got out. But that being said, I'm very nervous for it. Yeah. And I'm not just nervous for it because it's QPR and it's a game that means a lot to me and all the other fans. I'm nervous for it because I feel they are a dangerous side.
And I think do you remember that the 5-game period we had before, after the last international break, we had Stoke, Luton, Hull, Birmingham, and there's one in the middle, Middlesbrough. Yeah. And we didn't quite get the points that we expected. We got 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats. Yeah. That worries me. And we're going into a very difficult period now where we've got QPR, Derby, Swansea, Bristol, Leeds, Luton, Brentford, all in that very congested Christmas period. Do you feel us getting more points out of the better teams because it might be more open, because they might be they might attack more than teams who just try and sit back, or do you see us kicking on and doing very well and getting into the top 2, or do you see us really getting exposed by some decent teams?
I really hope it's the first option. I think we've been quite good against some of the better sides so far. I mean, off the top of my head, West Brom we should have won. Nottingham Forest on another day we would have won, even though we lost. Who else would you say was a top side so far this season? Sheffield Wednesday have been up there, and we should have won that one as well. Yeah, exactly. So obviously we've had some tough games. Charlton as well, they're quite up there. But we haven't played, I'd say other than West Brom, we haven't played the best of the best in this league. And I'd say that as it stands currently, that's West Brom, Leeds, Preston, Swansea. And we've got them all coming up, as you say. I'm hoping that it will be a bit like the run we had when we went up during the 23 unbeaten run. I think we had a run where we had something crazy like Wolves, Villa, Bristol City. We also had Sheffield United, who were on a great run, and we absolutely dismantled them. So that's what I'm hoping. And I do think that the West Brom game proved that against these teams that are used to dominating the ball, when we're coming onto them and dominating the ball, it puts them under pressure. And West Brom looked very uncomfortable against us when they didn't have possession. And it was only when Bilic changed their formation and put more men in the middle of the park that they could actually get a foothold in the game. And otherwise, we'd have won that game, I think. So I'm quietly confident. I would back us against any team in this league. But I do feel it's a confidence thing. And we haven't beaten a top side yet this season. The highest ranked one we've beaten is Birmingham. Mm-hmm. So it's a good little win to put us into this run of games. But yeah, I mean, well, to be honest, we have to anyway. Like, regardless of if I think we will, we've just got to win at least some of these games. And the Leeds at home one, particularly, I think is just massive.
Yeah, that is a huge game in just before Christmas. Do you know what's really, I find it interesting about this season is we lost 3-0 to Hull. And everyone was like, this team's not good enough. We're in dismal form. We're not good enough to go up. And I made a very, very depressing 10-minute video on the game, which was, I apologise, it was a very tough watch. And now we win the next game. And we were 6th. We've now gone down to 7th because Bristol won that weekend. Bristol City, sorry.
Comments coming.
Yeah, exactly. Like Nottingham Forest. So it's so topsy-turvy, this league, that one week you could be down in the dumps and the next week you're literally within touching distance of the playoffs. That, for me, is where it concerns me, because it's it's almost like we're getting the contrast in emotions from Hull to Birmingham was absolutely incredible. But we need to be more consistent in this league. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we shouldn't forget, as I think we did play well at Birmingham, but we won that game because of a really bad goalkeeping mistake. We shouldn't forget that because... Rodak. Well, defensively, I thought we were brilliant. And we should also put a shout out to Cyrus Christie, who I hope does start on Friday night because he deserves a chance. But yeah, it's a weird one because if we win on Friday, obviously we've played ahead of everyone else other than QPR. And we could possibly go up central to the playoffs. I'm not sure on the points, but we go into the playoffs no matter what, and that's a nice confidence boost. But then equally, if we lose to QPR, then we've got to see everyone else probably go further ahead of us, and it's a really weird one because it's very tight this season. But so far, West Brom have been the most consistent side, followed by Preston, and we just need to start beating the teams that are above us. And we haven't really had a chance to do that so far because we haven't played many of them. So that's why I think we should almost be not looking forward to this run, but looking at this as an opportunity to, for example, we're going into a game, we're beating Birmingham, we're going up to 6th, then Bristol City are beating the next day. Well, what if we beat Bristol City? Then we've taken points directly off a rival. And so far this season, the teams that are up there are teams that have been beating each other. And so I do think that we need to capitalise on this QPR game, on this derby game. Two teams who aren't quite where the other teams that we're playing after that are, with no disrespect. And then in that run, that's when we have to turn on the form because we've got to turn it on at some stage. And it's getting to the point where if we don't turn it on soon, we won't get top 2. I
agree. And I think just before we move on, a couple of more things. We're going to talk about the Riverside the actual Riverside stand, and we're going to talk about actually 3 more things. We're going to talk about the Riverside. We're going to talk about the Monday fix that came out yesterday, and we're going to talk about the pre-match routines that we do. But talking about Bristol City, there was a mad scramble for their tickets to Craven Cottage. It sold out in apparently about 10 or 12 minutes or something like that. Bristol fans tweeting saying they're going to sit in the home end and whatever happens, whatever. And also Brentford has already sold out as well. My brother's missed out on a ticket. He came up to me today and said, "Can you get me a spare?" And I said, "I'll look around and see if I can get anything." You managed to get a ticket?
I did manage to get a ticket. Yeah, I cut it quite fine because me and my dad have got. I was slightly above one of the benchmarks, like the minimum for getting it on one day, and he was slightly below. So I was waiting for him so that we could get them, and we got them early in the morning, and then they sold out. So it was lucky because I'd have been a bit annoyed.
Lower tier,
lower tier, yeah, of course. Obviously, I've sat in the upper tier as well, and stood in the upper tier, and it's been decent as well. But I love being on the terrace, and it's the last time we can. Yeah, exactly. So it's good. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you are as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a good day, and the fact it's 3 p.m. as well means we've got a nice morning London pub slot to have a few drinks. Let's talk about the Monday fix that came out. We'll briefly touch on it. Joe Bryan, Sean Davis, Ivan Berry. It was a good watch for 45 minutes. It was good. A good little insight as well into Joe Bryan and his injury and the camaraderie around the players as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we all already seen Ivan and Sean Davis on camera before. I've seen a few interviews with Joe Bryan, but this is the first time I actually got to sit down and properly listen to him, and I thought it was great insight. And also, I thought he came across really well. He seems like a really down to earth guy, and I think it's nice when you got footballers like that. And when footballers are likeable, it makes it, for me, even nicer when they're successful for your team. So I'm looking forward to it. I thought it was really good. Obviously, the first episode didn't have to pay for. I don't actually have Fulham FC TV, and I watched it. I hope they're all like that because I thought it was really good. And I'm interested to see who they get on next. I hope they do a double slot with Kamara and Mitrovic.
I would love that. I think there will be one with Tom Kearney soon. I think he'll want to be talking about Aubrey and Abbey and everything like that. Let's talk about the actual Riverside stand. It's actually called the Riverside Update. Let's talk about it. It's all gone now, which means it's going to be very cold on Friday. So wear your thermals.
Yeah, definitely. Long John's on. But I'm just thinking that if we're 1-0 up in the last minute, I mean, in the Thames.
Yeah.
The ball's got to go in the Thames and just hide the rest. I mean, it's just it's going to be really weird. I mean, obviously they put up the sort of photos of what the new stand's going to look like, which Hull City's Twitter took advantage of when they put raise the roof. If anyone hasn't seen that, I don't recommend.
I've had a field day. Even since they've beaten us, they've every day. Even today, I saw a little Sky Sports put out like a commentary of Tommy Eaves commentating over this goal. They're having fun.
They're having fun, and to be honest, they deserve to win. I thought they defended really well that day. But regardless of that, this stand is now it's gone. Weirdly, I mean, I think I've only sat in the Riverside stand for a few cup games, and I think a couple of under-21 games when they just opened that one stand, or used to do that. But I was weirdly emotional to see it go when it was actually gone. I mean, I wasn't during the whole process, and then when it was actually gone, I was like, it's a bit strange now. But I mean, obviously, other than those pictures, you could probably watch the game from over the river. But I reckon QPR should be a sellout, and it will be nice to have a lot of people around you to warm you up at least. But
kind of like penguins.
Yeah, but it's going to be really strange. So hopefully they start building it quickly.
Hopefully that gets done quickly so we can actually be warm at football games again. Let's talk about pre-match routines. With a derby, there's certain superstitions, there's certain things that people do. Some people don't do. For home games, what do you normally do before a game?
My routines are pretty boring, but I normally wake up and have a cooked breakfast.
Nice.
And then the only real routine I have is that my way of travelling to the game is the same every time, which is getting the train with my dad to Putney Bridge and walking. Then it varies game on game whether we have left in time to go to the pub before. Sometimes we go to the ground for a drink. But yeah, I mean, for me, the main routine is just going who I go with. My mum and sister sometimes comes as well, my girlfriend as well. But me and my dad normally be there on Friday. For evening games, I'd say evening games are possibly my favourite other than 3 p.m, which is obviously 3 p.m. is my favourite. But there's something great about evening games. Get out of work, go to the pub, calm the nerves, and then hopefully, depending on the result, go to the pub afterwards as well.
Brilliant. My lecturer on Friday, the guy who runs my course, he is a QPR fan avidly, hence we've been doing all this work at QPR. And I'm going to tell him that I'm going to stay until about 1, and then I'm going to go to the pub for the derby on Friday. Probably not. I don't even think he's going to the game. We'll get on to QPR in just a second because there is something I want to say about that. Personally, for Saturday 3 p.m, I probably leave the house at about 11, get to the pub for about 12, just before 12, drink until about 2:15, 2:20, then walk to the ground, and then emotions run high when you've had a few beers as well. So that sometimes gets interesting.
I mean, I used to have what I thought was a lucky scarf, and then it got to the stage that was one of the only routines I had, like superstitions. And I've still got this scarf. It's just my Fulham scarf. But then it got to the stage where I thought, it can't be that lucky, can it? If it sat through 2 relegations, not winning the Europa League.
Exactly. Time for a change, I think.
It's gone. It's sitting in my room instead. It's not coming to the games. Maybe for Friday, considering it's so cold. But
Yeah, I think I need to dig out the scarf for that. And then for away games, I usually get the train. I try and get there before midday for 3 p.m s, straight to the nearest pub or best pub to go to. Again, Uber to the ground. Hopefully nothing like Birmingham again. That was a nightmare. And then try and have a nice time from there, which usually it's not. Given last season, that was an absolute horror show. Anyway, that's probably going to be that. It's been almost 20 minutes. I want to quickly wrap up and say that a lot of people have come up to me this season and gone, "Are you doing a fan cam? Are you interviewing fans?" I go, No, not this season. Well, that is a slight change for Friday. I'm going to be in the Golden Lion, as I said, from about. I think I'll be there for about 4 because kickoff's at
9 a.m. probably.
Well, I want to be there for 9 a.m, but I'm probably going to be in there by about 3:30, 4, and I'm going to do previews with fans, like interviews with them, how I think the game's going to go, like this, and then watch the game, do a review like I usually do, and then hopefully if we win, I'll probably be back at the pub to do a few fan cams just for this game for QPR because it's the derby. So that should be a big feature coming out on Saturday morning. So if you do see me in the pub and I come up to you and say, "Look, do you want to do a quick 1-2 minutes, giving thoughts on the game or thoughts about the game?" then don't hesitate to say yes or say no. Hopefully you say yes. Anyway, Joe, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. I'm sure we should do another one of these in January when we're halfway through the transfer window and talk about some targets, because I'm sure there will be some names in the hat. Actually, who do you want in the FA Cup third round?
Oh, it's going to be interesting looking back at this. This is a rogue call. I want Southend away.
They're rubbish at the moment. They're terrible.
And I've never been to Southend, and I want a lower league ground that I haven't been to. And I was just thinking of this the other day because someone at my work mentioned Southend, and I was like, I've never been to Southend. So that's my answer. What about you?
I would. Don't hate me for this, but I would really want Spurs away, so we go to that new stadium.
Yeah.
Whether it be in the latter stages or the third round. But ideally at a new ground. Southend would be great because they are horrendous at the moment. They're definitely heading for League 2. And so that's about that.